So I traveled with my baby for the first time about 2 months ago, and since then I've traveled with her 3 times already. And let me tell you, traveling with a baby is no small feat. Like, bruh, I can understand why people say that they would absolutely not be doing that. I will say that traveling with a baby can be rewarding, it's cute, it's nice, but it is a lot of work. So let's talk about some of the things that I wish I knew before I traveled with my baby so that you can be more prepared if you are traveling with your baby. Hello everyone, my name is Ella Harry. Welcome to my little corner on the internet. If you are new here, I am excited that you've clicked on this video. I hope that you find it helpful. If you're not new, you already know you're the real MVP. So thank you for coming back. So first things first, raise your hands if you're subscribed. I'll raise both. Now, look at yourself in the mirror if you're not subscribed and ask yourself why. Why are you not subscribed to this channel already? And honestly, I'm even more confused by the people who continue to come back but are not actually subscribed. Like, waiting they actually occur for here. Why do you keep coming back if you're not subscribed? I don't get this. Please, somebody help me understand, because for the life of me, I do not get it. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. On this channel, we are really working hard to make sure that we hit the 5K subscriber mark at the end of 2025. To me, this seems like a pretty huge goal. To some people, they're like, yeah, girl, you need to think bigger. But this is YouTube. YouTube is like, you can literally get like 20 subscribers in 3 months. So I feel like I'm trying to be realistic, but maybe I should be dreaming big. Long story short, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell so you can get notified when I upload videos. And yeah, let's get this party started. So as I mentioned, I have traveled with my baby a total of 3 times. At the time when I started traveling with her, she was 3 months old. I don't know when you guys are going to see this video, and I don't know how old she would be then. But this is just to give you context on how little she was. So this is me traveling with a 3-month-old. We first started with a road trip. We went to Banff. Baby, like, she ate, she slept, she was good. And then the day we went to Banff, we were driving there. There were unexpected blowouts, so we had to stop. And then when we got to Banff, one mistake that we made was we just like carried her. She was excited to be there. She was looking around. She was so curious, looking at people, looking at everything, which were like, oh my God, this is so cute. Like, she's such good sport. Little did we know that we were going to pay for it on our way back to Calgary from Banff. Because she had missed naps and she was overstimulated at this point, she was bawling her eyes out the entire ride. She cried the entire 45 minutes from Banff to Calgary. Let's just say that it was a nightmare and definitely a lesson learned for us. So when we decided to travel with her the second time, this time we were actually flying, we had learned a few things, and this is the number one lesson that I'm going to be sharing with you. The first thing you have to do is try as much as possible to keep their schedules the same. So if your baby is not on a schedule yet, that is fine. At 3 months, my baby was not really on a solid schedule per se, but how many times is she going to nap during the day? I knew that. How long the naps were for? I knew that. So as soon as she ate, we would play with her a little bit and we would put her down. When we were in Banff, we didn't really do that because she was so curious. She was looking around. We just assumed that everything was fine. Listen, even if they're curious and looking around, which they would be, a lot of the babies anyways, you need to try to make sure that you can put them to sleep. So this includes putting them in a carrier, putting something over your head, or putting something over their faces. What I did when I was flying with my baby was I had a sun hat that I wore. It was a little bit big for her, but it was actually perfect because it could cover her eyes. So she wasn't seeing all the activity that was going on in the airport and security and blah, blah, blah. And it was easier for her to sleep because she wasn't overstimulated. So the first thing that I would advise parents to do is to keep schedules the same. Nap time, feeding time, playtime, like whatever it is, whatever that schedule looks like for you, try to keep it the same when you're traveling so that the babies are not overly tired. Because once they're too tired or overstimulated, it just goes downhill from there, which honestly is not the end of the world, because at the end of the day, you can keep schedules the same and babies are still going to be babies. Babies are extremely unpredictable. You can do everything you need to do and the trip is still not going to pan out the way you want it to pan out, but that is completely okay. That leads me to my second point, is to prepare for anything and everything. And I'm not just talking about how you pack, but more so your mindset. As I mentioned, babies are extremely unpredictable. Like, you can do everything right and they'll still just like do something you've never seen before. So prepare for the unexpected, prepare for it to not go well, especially with like, you know, crying and just being fussy and getting overstimulated. One thing that really stresses people out is just dealing with like strangers, the weird looks, the judgmental looks, even people on the internet saying, oh my God, I don't like flying with babies. Like, why are they crying on the flight? Like, I've been seeing a lot of those posts and I find it very, very confusing, especially as a Nigerian, because Nigerians don't really, like, babies are just part of the culture. Like, babies are just part of the world. Like, they don't expect that because you have a child, you're not going to travel with your child on the flight or on a bus or anything like that. And if you're on a flight with a crying baby, people have more sympathy instead of judging you like, oh my God, like, why is that baby crying? Shut them up. If you're on a road trip, you're traveling in a bus, like, people are not judging you because your baby is screaming. Some people will even offer to help. So as a Nigerian who actually grew up in Nigeria for like half of my life, I'm just like, this is very weird. Like, why are you mad that people have kids on a plane? Are they not supposed to travel and live their lives because they have children? Like, are you weird? I find it very disturbing, extremely disturbing, how people would complain about kids being in restaurants, kids being on flights, kids crying. Like, these are babies being babies. Like, babies are going to do what babies are going to do. Like, if you don't want to have babies on your flights, buy a private jet. If you're too broke to buy a private jet, you should not be complaining about a child on a flight. Like, be serious. Anyways, clearly I'm very passionate about this, but this is something that really, really stresses people out because they don't want the judgment, rightfully so. Something that I would really encourage you as parents to think about or to remind yourself of is people are entitled to a child-free life. As someone who has a child, I understand it. Some people are like, oh my God, like, I don't want kids. I want to have a child-free life. Completely understand. I get it. However, people are not entitled to a child-free world. Children exist in the world. And if you don't want children in your world, that's fine. In your house, that's fine. In your like environments that you have control over, that's fine. But you can't be mad that people are bringing children in the world where children should naturally exist. Like, that does not make any sense. So remind yourself of that. That yes, if they don't want children in life, that's fine, but they are not entitled to a child-free world. And hopefully that gives you some sense of like, let me take a chill pill. If the baby cries, fine. If they don't cry, also fine too. I am doing the absolute best that I can. The third thing that I wish I knew before I traveled with a baby, or something that I learned along the way, is to feed them during takeoff or landing. And if you're not going to feed them, at least offer a pacifier if that is something that you use, just because the air pressure can affect their ears. So I know that the first flight that my baby took, I think she started bawling her eyes, like just as we were taking off. Like, she was screaming at the top of her lungs. I was like, oh my God, this can't be real. Like, it was so stressful. It wasn't for the entirety of the flight, thankfully, but it was still just like a very, very stressful experience. So if you can, feed them during takeoff and landing, just so they're sucking, and it actually helps with like the air pressure in the air. And if you're not going to feed, if you're not going to breastfeed or bottle feed, at least offer a pacifier or something. If neither of those things are like an option, you can also get those headphones. I've seen those. I have that for my baby. We got it. She does not like it. She absolutely hates it. But I know that there are babies who might actually like that. So it blocks their ears and you don't have to deal with like air pressure and the pain from that and all that good stuff. So something else, and I think this is something that I learned after going on a road trip with my child, I learned this very quickly, is to pack essentials. So sit down, think about the things that you actually need or use with your baby on a regular basis. There's some checklists, and those checklists are very helpful. Like, I have a checklist, but just sit down and think, from when I wake up in the morning or when my baby wakes up until when they go to bed, what are the things that I'm using on a daily? Make a list of those things and then pack those things. I feel like sometimes with traveling with a baby, people get very excited, or they're like, oh, like, she hasn't played with this toy, maybe we should pack it, she might need it. The baby hasn't played with it for 3 months, but suddenly this 5-day trip, the baby is going to play with a toy. Like, please be serious. So they'll get excited about like a toy that the child has never played with, an outfit that they've never even tried on the baby, like certain things that you don't actually use. So what happens is you end up overpacking and you have too much stuff and you're just like, wow, I feel like I have so many boxes. Yeah, because you overpacked. And don't get me wrong, traveling with a baby you will overpack. Like, you will pack so many things, you're not even going to believe it. I remember our recent trip to Vegas. My husband and I had 8 to 9 bags, including the stroller, the car seat, the diaper bag, our own bag, the check. Bro, we got into an Uber and the Uber driver asked us if we were moving because of how much stuff we had. And it was so funny because I was just like, bro, like, I can't even imagine what moving would be like with a child if this is what it looks like when we're going on like a 1-week trip. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. Long story short, you might end up overpacking. So if you're someone who used to travel with 1 bag or 2 bags without kids, please prepare for that to multiply when traveling with a baby. However, you want to try as much as possible to make sure that you're not packing things that you absolutely do not need. The next thing, I think this is absolutely helpful, is to check in things that you're not going to use at the airport, with the exception of the baby's bag. So what I did was I made our carry-on the baby's things. We're not checking that in because the last thing I want is to get to my destination and my baby's bag is missing. So now what am I going to do in a brand new city with none of her stuff? Do you get? But everything else, so like the stroller, the car seat, really and truly, some people are like, yeah, we'll need the stroller, we can put the baby in the stroller, blah, 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 blah. But if it is easier, or if the baby can go in a carrier instead of a stroller, please feel free to check in the stroller and the car seat instead of taking it all the way to the gate, because now you have the car seat, the stroller, your carry-on, the diaper bag, your own bag. Like, you just have way too many things, and it's going to be hard for you to function or do things or act immediately if you have to, because you just have so much stuff. So as much as possible, check in the things that you can so you have fewer things and freer hands, because you're going to need it. Something else, and I didn't even know that you could do this, is as much as possible, try to request a crib or a bassinet before you get to your hotel or an Airbnb. And the reason why this is important is you need to know whether or not they even have it so that you can make alternative plan. So say, for example, you're thinking, oh yeah, like when we get to the hotel, we can just ask them. What if you get to the hotel and they don't have any cribs or any bassinets, or they don't have any left? Like, what are you going to do, right? So as much as possible, try to request that stuff before you get there so you know that it is there for you. And if they don't have it, you can make alternative plans, like maybe traveling with a park and play instead. Interestingly enough, all the hotels that we've been to, the Airbnbs, they've had just like a little park and play that the baby can be in, which has been very, very helpful because we didn't have to pack our own stuff, but we wouldn't have known that had we not requested before we got there. Okay, this is a bonus tip. The last thing that I wish I kind of knew, or something that I learned while traveling with my baby, is to accept help when people offer help. So I remember recently we were at the Las Vegas airport. This is when we're coming back. My husband had the baby, he was feeding her, she slept, and we're like, okay, this is good. And the way that he was carrying her was perfect. Like, we knew that she was going to be knocked out, probably for the entirety of that flight. So we're like, okay, you're on baby duty, you're just going to carry her like that. Do not move, don't breathe, like nothing, just hold her like that. But then that meant that I was now responsible for all the other things that involved us, like checking in and all our bags and stuff like that. So I remember trying to fold the stroller and then put in a bag, and it was so heavy, and I was struggling. Long story short, I was struggling. This woman comes, she's like, hey, can I help you? I can see that you need some help. At first I wanted to be like, oh no, it's okay, like I got it. But I was like, I actually do need help. And my husband couldn't help me because he was on baby duty. So I'm glad that I accepted help, because it would have been much harder for me to do that, grab all our bags, make sure that we were checking, because I had the passports, get the passport. Like, it was just so much stuff that I had to do with my husband being on baby duty. So I accepted the help that was offered to me, and I'm glad I did. Interestingly enough, strangers offer to help with all kinds of things when you're traveling with babies. You'll be surprised. Oh, sure, like I can put this in the overhead bin for you so you can just sit down. Or, oh, I can hold them so that you can get your seat belts and then you take them back when your seat belt is around. Like, whatever that looks like, if somebody offers to help you, accept the help. You don't have to do everything by yourself, because traveling with a baby can be a lot. So as much as possible, try to take whatever help you can. Bonus points if you can even travel with somebody, a partner, a sister, a friend, whatever that looks like, because then when there are two people, it's easier to travel with a baby. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it beneficial. Let me know if there are other videos that you would like to see in regards to traveling with a baby. This could include like things you need when you're traveling with a baby, or like things not to do, like whatever that is, I don't know. But let me know, give me some video ideas. If you are not subscribed to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so you can get notified when I upload videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.